All right, let's welcome in our guest, Sacramento Kings guard, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron, thanks for joining us. Just for the listener, I just want everyone to know, originally we had 49 minutes of a clusterfuck of technical issues trying to get connected with De'Aaron. We are now on minute 58 of this podcast, and we are starting this podcast. So, De'Aaron, I appreciate the patience, and thanks for jumping on with us, man.
Oh no, I appreciate it, man. Y'all were being patient with me. It was my system that was messed up, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what we've talked a bunch about life in the bubble. But what is your life been like post bubble? You and I didn't get a chance to play in that 8-9 game. Little disappointing performance from the Pelicans and the Kings in the bubble. But what's your life been like the last few weeks since you've left Orlando?
Well, one, I recently got engaged, so that's
Congrats,
something
Congrats.
that's exciting and
amazing.
changing for me. But other than that, it's different, man. In California, most stuff is pretty much still closed. You can't eat outside. I mean, you can't eat inside. But it's been okay. I mean, I'm always at home anyways. Me and my fiance are always at home. We have fun. We have fun with each other. We just started playing this game Among Us on PC, and she loves it. Like, she played 6 hours straight one night. So we're enjoying our time. We're enjoying our time off. And I started rehab on my shoulder. I had a shoulder. My shoulder's probably been bugging me since right after All-Star. So this has given me a lot of time to actually work on that. But other than that, man, life's been good for us.
That's great. Congratulations. We've talked a ton about the bubble, but what for you personally, what was your favorite part about the bubble and your least favorite part?
Man, I have a lot of least favorite parts about the bubble. I have a lot.
You can share them all. Share them all.
Man, one, I'm from the South. I'm from Houston. So I was kind of used to the humidity, but man, Florida's a different level. Being in Orlando is a whole different beast. That's probably one thing I'd say that's one thing I hated about it. One thing I liked about it was it kind of gave us like an AAU vibe. I played AAU from 4th to 11th grade. So I was always kind of used to that. Then all the camps that you go to, you kind of start to see your peers a lot more than you would, if it was a regular season. So I think I enjoyed that, being able to see guys a lot more than you would have.
The camaraderie was the thing that I didn't realize how much I enjoyed and how much I missed that during quarantine. And it was almost to an extreme. It's one thing like in the off season when you're away from your team, but in quarantine, you're literally with your family or you're whoever you're sort of quarantining with. So all spring, you're having zero contact with people. And so to get back with your teammates, to be on those bus rides, to be in a meal room, whatever, talking shit, like those were the things that was actually probably, other than hooping, of course, but that was actually my favorite. That was my favorite part of the bubble.
Man, yeah, I loved it. I loved it. Like, you just remember back in the day when you were just with your guys all the time. Y'all are in hotels all the time. You go from practice to the hotel, and you're probably in someone's room after that. So, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I would say I enjoyed it a little bit more than I hated it. It was a love-hate. I was high and low on it.
Yeah.
De'Aaron, we're going to get into Kentucky a little later. Did you play AAU with any other pros?
On team or
on the same team?
Same team. Carson Edwards from Boston, Robert Williams from Boston, Jared Vanderbilt with Minnesota. Is that it? Oh, no. Actually, the best team that I was on. So I was a freshman, and they were juniors. It was Justice Winslow, Kelly Oubre, and Justin Jackson. We're all on the same team. I was 2 years younger than those guys.
What AAU program was this?
That was Houston Hoops.
Oh, Houston Hoops. Okay. Yeah. Legendary program.
Yeah.
I played against Houston Hoops back in the day when I played for Boo Williams.
Oh, you played for Boo? So when we played Boo Williams, Thon and Bam played for them.
Wait, Bam played for Boo?
He played at Peach Jam.
he was like a ringer they brought in.
Yeah. He played at Peach Jam.
Yeah, okay. Because we had like one tournament where Jarrett Jack came and played with us, but that was like not normal. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I played with any other pros on my AU team, but we won 2 national championships. We just had a bunch of guys that just played hard. It was fun. This is crazy to me. When I was doing my notes for the show, like it's really hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that you are the high school class of 2016. That was 4 years. You graduated from high school 4 years ago, and you just finished your third year in the NBA, and you averaged 21-7. Like, that is just an incredible leap to me. And you've also improved every year. But I think what's hard to write, like, because you were such a visible player at Kentucky, I just feel like you've been in the basketball lexicon for way longer than 4 years.
Oh, it feels that way. A lot of times, man, I forget that, like, we think about it a lot. Like, me and my girl, because my fiance actually played. She was an All-American too. But we always talk about it. It's like I would have been a senior in college this year if we stayed. Like, if I stayed. Like, same with Bam and Lonzo on your team. Like, we all would have been seniors in college. And it's like, man, we're like, Bam's an all-star. Same with Jason Tatum. Would have been a senior in college this year. And we're just like, man, like, imagine if we stayed, how different our lives would be and how much we would dominate the college game right now. And it's like, it would be totally night and day. But yeah, man, like you said, we were all class of 2016 high school, all but one and done when we went to school. And now we're close to being vets in the league. Obviously not, the vet of your stature, but we're about to be vets. We're about to be vets in the league.
You guys grew up. It's a different era now, because my draft in 2006 was the first draft where high school players couldn't enter, and so now it's one of the, like, you talk about dominating college basketball. It's one of the reasons I dominated college basketball my senior year, because I was older than everybody. I was just and I had more experience, and now we're in an era where, like, the best players, there's almost like an expectation. Like, you go to school for a year, you hoop, you go to class the first semester, so you can play the second semester. You laugh, but I know that you did that shit.
Hey, no. I'll say this, and I'm not lying at all. I'm not lying. I actually went to class. All right, let me put it this way. I went to class in the second semester just as much as I went in the first semester. But I got my work done.
That could be a misleading statement, by the way.
Hey, you take it whichever way you want.
It's a savvy answer. Can you walk us through how you ended up at Kentucky?
It's actually crazy. So Kentucky was actually one of the last schools to offer me. They offered me after my last, the tournament where everybody goes to Vegas in July. Last tournament, they offered me after that tournament. So they were one of the last teams. And what ended up happening is, so KP, who is now an assistant for New York, he was him and my dad are from Mississippi. So when he started recruiting me, they already knew each other and all that, because they played high school ball against each other. And my parents were like, my dad really trusted him. But I had told my parents from the get-go, like, I'm going where I want to go. And I think a lot of kids mess that up because they go where their parents want to go, but where their parents want them to go. But at the end of the day, your mom and your dad aren't the ones going to class. They're not the one that has to deal with this coach. They're not playing in front of these fans, all that. Like, they're not the one with this experience. So you have to grow up and you have to start making your own decisions. So I told them, like, we'll sit down and we'll talk after my official visits, but I'm going to take your input. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go where I want to go. And what kid doesn't want to go to Kentucky? So that's how it was. It's pretty simple.
I mean, Calipari to me has just done an amazing job in this era of being completely transparent about what the program he's trying to build.
Oh yeah.
And he's saying, you're going to come here. I'm going to load up on one and done guys. I'm going to help you get to the NBA. He now has a track record where he's done this now for close to 15 years.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a factory now. It's a factory for one and dones. It's amazing what he's done.
I'll tell you, well, Duke didn't recruit me, so I have no Duke stories, and we didn't play them. So, but now, like, Cal comes in with like a different type of swag. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure you had the same experience with a lot of the coaches. He came in and the vibe was just different. So that was one thing. And but with him, and this is what he told me. You know, obviously I don't know what he tells other guys, but I'm pretty sure it's kind of, similar. Everybody kind of has a similar recruiting pitch. And he's like, I'm recruiting guys to get y'all to the NBA. He says, I'm going to win games. You know, obviously as a coach, you keep your job by winning college games. You win your job by you keep your job by championships. He's like, I'm going to get these players and I'm going to win games with the players that I have, regardless of anything. I'm going to get if I get these players, I'm going to win. If I'm a good coach or not, it doesn't matter. But he's trying to prepare guys for the NBA, for what happens after college. Because if you get stuck, so to say, when guys who think they're a one and dones, when it doesn't happen, now they're mad that they stayed, 2, 3, 4 years. But if you do, now you still have a college degree. You may still be able to get into the NBA. Like everybody doesn't have to be one and done. And he tells people that you're not going to automatically be a one and done because you go to Kentucky. That's just not the way it works. But he's in it for the players. Like, I'm pretty sure you still talk to Kay. Like, Cal calls, he checks on me. He checks on my fiance. He calls about my parents. And that's one thing that kind of brought me towards him, and being able to ask players who have been there. He actually cares about his players, more so than he probably cares about the program, than I would say. He loves these guys that have played for him. And, I can't say I have a single regret that I went to Kentucky.
Yeah, I think a lot's made of him as the recruiter and the sort of the architect of this program that thrives on these one and done guys. But what was the actual basketball experience like playing for him, like him as a coach, not just as a recruiter? And then how did that sort of align with playing at Kentucky, which, like Duke, is like a blue blood of college basketball, and there's an inherent amount of attention and pressure you get in the college basketball world from playing at a school like that?
Well, if you're not strong-minded, you cannot play for Cal. Obviously coaches, try to build up confidence and things like that. But if you're not a confident kid to start, as an 18-year-old, if you're not a confident kid to start, you cannot play at Kentucky. And it's happened. We've seen it happen before. And as a point guard, if you're not ready for your coach to be on you about everything, even if it's not your fault, then you can't play at Kentucky, because Cal holds his guards to just a higher standard. And I loved it. I mean, I'm not cocky, but I'm confident. I'm a confident kid. I have a voice. I've always been that way. And Cal hated it sometimes and he loved it sometimes. But playing for Cal, man, it's I wouldn't say it's a lot, but it's not easy, but it's pretty hard. And you see it every year. So this is the example I like using because it was very recent when Shea was there from Oklahoma City. He came in, I didn't know who he was. I went back, I worked out, I played against the team, playing pickup with him and everything. And I'm like, yo, this dude's, he's going to be good. So then they go into the seasons, he's not starting because I don't think people knew how good he could be. So he didn't start for maybe the first 10, 15 games. So he starts killing. And the way Cal works is he's going to pick who his leader is, rather if it's a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. And once he picks that guy, that's who's leading his team. And man, did Shea take – and you see what he is now. And he took off. After he took the starting spot, he's been on an upward trend from then. And that's how he is. Like I said, he picked that guy. That guy has confidence and continues to rise. And I think that's what helped him, be who he is in the league today.
Yeah, it's very similar to, I think, how Coach K coaches his teams. He figures out who the best players are, who the toughest players are, and he's like, I'm maximizing these 2 guys, or I'm maximizing these 3 guys. I think personally, I look back and I'm like, man, it was probably tough to be like a role player at Duke. It was probably tough to be Sean Dockery. I don't even know if you know who Sean Dockery is.
No, I can't. I don't.
Oh man, Sean Dockery was an absolute legend. There was actually this show on Chicago high school hoops when we were growing up. So it was like Sean Dockery and Will Bynum. I think Luther Head was on the show, who played at Illinois. There was just a whole thing. So Sean was like a legend, and I would say McDonald's All-America, everything. And he didn't have the same role that I had, or that Luol Deng had, or that Daniel Ewing had. Like we got damn near every play called for us. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I'm going to this guy every time.
Yeah, that's what happens. But I think a lot of times when you're at Kentucky, it's probably the point guard. So you're just the guy that's initiating everything. You're making plays for someone else. You're taking big shots. That's how it is for him. And I think that's why, people are always talking about the point guards that have gone there, because he gives you so much. Obviously, he's going to be on you. He's going to stay on your tail all the time, but he still gives you so much freedom. And I feel like, especially with, it's a lot of freshmen. So it's 18 and 19-year-old kids, and he's making them learn to be better decision makers. And I think, man, that's a reason that his guards, I feel like, just are able to succeed a lot.
Do you see that with Jamal as well, even watching these playoffs?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cal would probably yell at him saying that he's taking some bad shots, but I mean, it's just so it's a little confidence when you're able to take those shots, knowing you can make them, but also knowing if you miss, your coach isn't just going to pull you. So I think it works both ways, and Jamal is, man, he's playing at a different level right now.
Totally. Take me back to 2016, 18-year-old De'Aaron. Did you imagine this level of success in this amount of time, in this short of time, I should say?
So it's funny. So like that question, I don't say I'll get that question on podcasts or interviews or anything. But I've gotten that question just from people like walking around, seeing you and asking sometimes. Yeah. I would say the time I probably knew had like a great chance to get drafted after 1 year of college. I would say I was like 16. So sophomore, junior year of high school. Obviously, kids are going to say, they don't look at the mock drafts and all that stuff. You see it. You're going to get tagged, especially with social media. If you have it, you're going to get tagged in it all the time. People are always going to talk about it. So like, I'm saying, man, I could be a top 20 pick. Like, all I have to do is take care of what I have to take care of. Like, I don't have to go above and beyond, but I can't hit the floor. So for me, it's like, man, finish these last 2 years of high school the way I'm supposed to, average whatever you're supposed to average, go to whatever college, play the way you're supposed to play. Even if it wasn't better than you were supposed to play, then I'll fall in this range. So I would say around like 16, 17, I was like, man, I can be in the NBA in 3 years. And it worked out. It worked out great.
It's crazy to hear you say that. It's not crazy to hear you say you thought you would be in the league at 16 or 17 or whatever. That's not crazy to me. It's crazy just how different it is to be a young guy growing up in hoops right now. Because like I didn't even know there were mock drafts when I was 16 or 17. Like the first mock draft I saw was after my junior year at Duke, when I was, I had a good year, and I was like, oh, like I could be a first round pick if I left. Like that's the first time it was ever on my radar. And part of this, of course, is this culture, on social media, on platforms like Overtime or Ball is Life. You guys have YouTube mixtapes now when you're like 15 or 16 years old, and you're your own celebrity and brand in some ways while you're still a high school player. And that's such a foreign, I think that for me, I'm dating myself here, of course, but like it's such a foreign concept for me.
Oh yeah, man. I think a lot of the times now it's probably early. Like it happens really early. Like you're seeing sixth grader mixtapes now, but I mean, it helps. Like, those things really help. They really help kids get to where they want to go. So I never knock it. Obviously if I think it's early, it might be early, but it's the way that it is now. It's just how it is.
De'Aaron, we've talked about this with a few other guys. This is going to be kind of a weird question, but with this culture, with this fact that since you were 16 years old, you had these rankings, you have the YouTube, you have social media, you have everything like this. Like, how did you not end up like an asshole? Because everybody loves you. Like, you're the nicest dude, and you've like consistently been the nicest dude. But like, how did you not, when you were 17, or even when you're at Kentucky and you're scoring 30 points a game, or you're scoring 30 points in your third college game or whatever it is, how did that just not get to your head? Because I think it would get to a lot of people's heads.
Man, I think now it's like, for me at least, I just always kind of stayed grounded. Like all I do is I work out, I talk to my people, like friends and family, and I play video games for the most part. So life for me didn't change much from 16 to even 22. So it was just so normal for me, because the people I was around still treated me like the middle schooler that they knew. So it never got to that point, even though obviously people were asking for pictures and autographs, but the other 90% of the time that I'm not around that, the people around me are treating me, the same way they always treat me. So it's always just kind of been like that. Even if a player wasn't as good as me on my high school team, after that, we're going home, we're playing 2K and Call of Duty together. So it's always just kind of been that normal part of life outside of basketball. For me, I always tell people I'm not thinking about basketball all the time. So I'm outside of that, I'm just as normal as everybody on the planet. So I think that's kind of what just helped me continue to be solid and stay grounded.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a natural if you have a natural inclination towards humility, I think that will serve you well in all walks of life. And if you're really, really good at something and you're also humble, like that's, to me, is like one of the best sort of combinations you can have. Do you feel like you've made it, though? Do you feel like you've made it? Or do you, because you come across, and we don't know each other that well, but like you come across as someone that doesn't necessarily have a huge chip on their shoulder, like some players that maybe were underdogs. I know we talked to Damian Lillard about this a ton, but there's obviously a quiet confidence to your game, to your demeanor, to the way you carry yourself. But do you feel like you've made it?
I think that for me, with that question, it's like there are levels to it. Like, yeah, like if like at 17, I'm like, man, I just want to make it to the NBA. So then it's like, okay, bam, I made it. But now it's like, do I want to be an all-star? Do I want to be a champion, Hall of Fame, all this other stuff? And now it's like, no, I don't feel like I've made it. Now, my first goal to making it to the NBA, yes, I made it. That's why I said it's just levels to it, and I keep just trying to build upon it. And with the chip, I would say I've never been an underdog before, but obviously, getting drafted to the Kings, it's been very different from what I've had from being born to 19 years old. It's very different. And now, I mean, I would say my demeanor, it doesn't seem as if I'm playing with a chip on my shoulder, but every time I step out there, like I'm going at whoever it is, no matter what.
No, you're a killer. I wasn't suggesting that you weren't a killer.
Oh yeah. No.
I wasn't suggesting that at all.
But no, I would say yes and no. I feel like I've made it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, the what is it? The goalposts keep changing, or whatever the expression is.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I can relate to that, and I can sort of have seen that play out in my career. If I can get to, if I can make the rotation, if I just want to be a rotational player, and it's like I want to be a starter, and it's like, I once also too had aspirations of being an all-star. That ship has sailed. We know that.
Yeah, but look at you now, one of the greatest shooters to touch a ball. What is this year? What you said?
I just
16?
Finished 14.
Was this year 14?
Yeah, I just finished 14.
You're 14. Come on now,
I've done all right, man.
JJ had the playoff streak until for the crazy 2020. It was there, but
fucking COVID.
Not so much. Jared,
I want to bring up. He brought up something. I want to touch on this. We're going to bring it up later in the show, but I'm going to touch on it now because you brought it up, and that's getting drafted by the Kings. So, Tommy, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Kings have not been in the playoffs since I've been in the NBA.
So this is what I was going to ask. So yeah, keep going.
Okay, so we're the last time they were in the playoffs was 2006. That was when I was in college.
Yeah,
they have not been in the playoffs since then. And I think it's a real challenge as a young player coming to a young team and trying to understand how you change that culture and how you build a winning culture. And it's got to be. I would assume it's a huge challenge for you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a huge challenge. But the thing is, like whenever our draft process is going on, and obviously after the lottery, you kind of see where teams stack up. I was like, man, I kind of want to go to 5. Like, I want to be the 5th and go to the Kings. And for me, it's like just imagine being one of those players that's on a team that, hasn't been in the playoffs in over a decade, almost 2 decades, a decade and a half, and then being the team that's being the first team to actually get to the playoffs. I think it's obviously it's hard as hell, especially being in the West. But just being able to be a part of that would definitely be something special. And if we can, end up building a championship contending team, then it's like, man, if you're winning a championship in Sacramento, like that's looked at a lot differently. You probably feel better than you do than with anything else. And I just wanted to be a part of that process. And, for as long as I'm here, however long I'm here, if I'm able to do that, man, I just feel like that's a pretty good career if you're able to do it. So
when you were growing up or even when you were in high school, did you have any guys you like really thought you modeled your game after?
I mean, for me, especially growing up, like you kind of watch everybody. Russ was my favorite player, but I don't think I ever wanted to. I don't think my body would ever be the same way as Russ's was. So I knew I wouldn't play like him. But I mean, I just watched, Chris Paul, Kyrie in his early years, Dame in his early years. Obviously I got to watch like Steve Nash and just to do little things that they all did. Obviously I feel like I'm more athletic than most. But I know I still have a ways to go with, shooting the ball like Steve and Chris in the way that they did. But I would just try to implement everybody's game. I didn't want to play like a certain player because obviously I think everybody has a flaw to their game. But I kind of just wanted to implement everything I saw from, I wouldn't say I really went back and watched them, but I was watching players that were playing at the days, like when Steve was playing and when Chris was playing as of now. I just wanted to take little bits and pieces from everybody's game and just bring it into my own.
Did you have a welcome to the NBA moment?
So my rookie year, Dame, and
Dame's been giving a lot of people welcome to the NBA moments.
I always
apparently.
say, even to this day, like Dame is the hardest player I have to guard. He gave us 50 in 3 quarters.
And how many of those 50 were on you?
Not a lot. I'll say not a lot, but I mean, probably like 15, 16, but like it was doing it to everybody. So we had, I guarded him. George was with us, George Hill, Garrett Temple. Like we're throwing everything at him. We're throwing, he's coming off the pick. We're blitzing him, and man, he made the game look so easy. I mean, you see what he's doing right now. He's pulling up from half court. He was already doing that. So I'm like, yo, like there's nothing I can do. Like, I don't know what you want me to do to stop this man. And yeah, that for sure was my welcome to the NBA moment. I haven't gotten dunked on or anything because I'm not jumping at something I don't feel like I can block. So
right. No, I just wanted to share a quick story, okay? Because I've never told you this story before. So, first of all, my welcome to the NBA moment was my rookie year, and I didn't play a lot, but I got in a game against the Detroit Pistons, and this is when they had Rasheed Wallace, and he made me feel so small on that basketball floor. And I checked into the game, and it was like Rasheed and Chauncey and Rip, and I think Weber was on the team then too, and they like berated me for like the 10 minutes I was out there, and Carlos Delfino dunked on me. I was like, yo, like,
this is game one?
No, this is like, I didn't play the first 18 games, bro. I was not even.
Where'd you get drafted? Did you go to
Orlando? I was in Orlando the first 7 years of my career.
Orlando, that's what.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yes, you played in the finals.
I played the finals. But the story I wanted to tell was, so you brought up the Dame 50 ball, right? So I think this was either my 3rd or 4th year. We played D Wade in Miami, and he had 50. And I guarded him some. All right. I got about 4 or 6 of those. I can't remember. It was either 2 buckets or 3 buckets. So the next day on SportsCenter, the only 3 clips they keep showing are the buckets on me. So I got like 50 text messages that day from people like, yo, D Wade gave you 50 yesterday, huh? I'm like, no, I actually did all right against
the whole
them.
Game.
Yeah, right. You got to watch the whole game.
Don't
watch the highlights.
Yeah, man, it's. But then after the game, you feel like, damn, like maybe he did give me more than that. you gotta go.
Sometimes I like to go back. I'm like, yo, my guy had 28 today. Like, how should I go back? And I go back and watch the tape and be like, all right, this was me. Yep, that was me.
Oh yeah, but you could have had 5 on you, but it doesn't matter if you were the primary matchup. That's who they're talking about.
who was the player, either a teammate or somebody you played against, who just sort of surprised you? And like, I'll give you an example. So like we talked about this with Zion, and he brings up Etuan Moore, and we talk about Etuan on the show all the time. And Etuan is just like an ultimate professional. You know, he's somebody that's been in the league for a long time, but Etuan can fucking ball. Like he's just if Etuan's playing a certain number of minutes, he's going to ball out. And it's like everybody in the NBA is at that level. Did you have either a teammate or an opponent where you were like, okay, yeah, maybe this isn't like a superstar, but you just sort of realized like this is not college anymore?
I think early on for me, it was, and I actually still say that too. It's Gallo, Danilo Gallinari. Man, is he a bucket. Like 6'9", 6'10", can shoot it from anywhere, handles the ball well enough to create his own shot. That's, man, yeah, he's definitely the one that I would say, and I would tell people like, you probably don't even know his name. You probably go play 2K and you pick the Thunder and you probably don't even use him because of everybody else. But yeah, man, Gallo is nice.
He's tough. He also has averaged 20 or 19 or 20, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons in the NBA.
And nobody talks about it. Nobody knows.
Talks about it. He's like in that, it's weird because he's in that next tier of guys, you know, where it's like you have your top 5 to 10, and then you have your next like 20 guys, then you have probably the next 15 to 20 guys, and then he's probably in that next tier, that 45 and on, where it's like a lot of similar players, a lot of guys that do a lot of things really well, but not necessarily everything great, or not necessarily one thing great. I wanted to ask you about just the learning curve in the NBA. And so what I found this article, and I don't want to misquote you here, but basically you admitted to stinking your rookie year.
Oh yeah, I was terrible. I was terrible my first year.
So, you know, I would assume that up until that point, things came naturally and things came pretty easy for you, especially given, you know, your just natural athleticism and your natural ability. And so how much of that first year or two was really just focusing on learning the nuances of the NBA game?
Man, it's actually crazy. I think my second year to second year was like night and day. But coming into it, I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm still, you know, one of the most athletic guys on the court. But then I step on and I feel like point guard is the hardest position to play. And everybody's moving fast as hell. even the slow dudes are moving fast. And then they're probably 6'7" and up, long arms, smart, know where the shortcuts they can take. And it kind of like the game was like just moving like this for me. And it's like everything's spinning in a circle. And even the good games that I had as a rookie were so hard. I'm like, I thought I was playing at like 120% just to have that good game. And then going from year 1 to 2, because I think I played 73 games my first year. Just having that experience and then going into the summer, I'm like, well, I know exactly what I need to work on. I know when we call this play, and this play, this stuff happens. Guys are doing this defensively. And I think that's just how I learned it. Just the experience. The game began to slow down because I knew what everybody was doing. I knew what my teammates were going to do. I kind of knew how each team guarded it. And it just ended up making the game easier for me.
Yeah, so much of the improvement season to season is just based on having that experience. And I think if for a guy who gets drafted in the lottery, who's going to a team that's not going to be in the playoffs, there's no more valuable, you know, experience than actually just being out on the court. Like that's where to me, that's as much as it is like you got to watch film, you got to pay attention, you got to lock in during scouting reports and all that. But like the NBA is about pattern recognition. That's all it is to me. Offensive and defensively, it's about pattern recognition. And if you're out there and you're experiencing that and you're seeing those things over and over, that's ultimately how you get better.
Yep. Yes. That's why people watch film all the time. That's why the great players are always like, well, I broke down this guy's game, this guy's game, and this guy's game. And I mean, that's always going to make you better. Obviously, nothing's more important than being out there. But at the end of the day, you still need to be able to do these things and process these things. Like the NBA is a long season, and you have coaches are going to say some days you come in, it's like, well, we're not going live. So this is where we get better today. We watch film on this, this, and this, and you have to be able to take that and apply it. And some days that's how you're getting better. And I think I started taking that really seriously because like I saw it. And then I had vets like Garrett, George, Vince Carter, Zebo. Like I had these guys who had been there, done that, been in the finals and done this type of stuff. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I listen to them? So I think that's helped me become a better player because I think I learned it when I was young. And sometimes you might not be the most talented or you might not be the most this and that, but if you're smart and can apply stuff, then that helps worldly.
What was Zebo like?
Man, Zebo is he's one of the greatest dudes I've ever met. Like he still calls me. He hits up my dad because obviously he's closer to my dad's age than he is my age. So he checks in on my family. Man, he was great, man. Like I loved having Zebo around. And even when he was older, he was a bucket. He was killing us in practice. We played the young dudes versus the old guys. And yeah, it was they killed us. They killed us. Like,
well, it's wild. It's wild when your vets are like Vince and Zebo and these guys. They're
Garrett
just all time.
Who's one of the all-time greatest dudes ever.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
that's a good vet crew right there.
When I first came, I had some good vets. I had a lot of good vets around me.
Blake used to always say, like, whenever we would get close to the playoffs, and that when I would play in LA, like we get close to the end of the season, and we try to figure out like who we're going to play in the first round. He would just be like, anybody but Memphis. He's like, I do not want to fucking wrestle with Zebo for 7 games. It's the worst.
Oh, and that's when y'all were playing them a lot, right?
They played them in the playoffs. I know they played them one year. I don't know if they played them both years before I got there. So Chris's first 2 years there before I got there, they battled with them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But he's like, people don't realize how good he was, man. He was unbelievable, like unstoppable on the block. He probably could walk on an NBA court right now. I'm not saying like it would necessarily contribute to winning because people would target him defensively, but he could get you 18 right now.
Oh, he definitely can. And you know where it's coming. He's coming to the right block. He's catching on the right block every time, and he's getting to the lefty hook, or he's turning around over his left shoulder every time. And he's going to get you 8 rebounds without leaving the floor.
I want to ask you a little bit about your shooting because so much of modern NBA basketball is about being able to make threes, and you took this huge jump in year 2 where you went from like 30% to 37% in year 2, and then this year you went back down to 29 or 30%. You were somewhere around there. What do you think contributed to that sort of regress that you had?
Oh, well, this year I think we started off really bad this year. We started off terribly, but I would go far as saying my year 2, I came out hot, but like I wasn't shooting a lot of threes. So now this year I'm thinking, I have to be able to take and make threes. Obviously I shoot a lot of mine off the dribble. But at the end of the day, like I know to win and to be valuable in the NBA, you have to be able to make threes. You have to make shots. You have to make jumpers. I think, me getting to my mid-range, I've always been able to shoot it at a decent level, at a pretty high. I think I shot at a pretty high level this year. But yeah, like I know to be one of the best point guards in the NBA, you have to be able to shoot the ball. And that's something that I work on every day. I'm always getting in the gym, getting extra shots. During the season, you might have off days. Obviously, at least I'm still getting in. Obviously, you don't want your body to break down, but I still want to be able to get better. So do a lot of form shooting and just shooting the ball in general. But I don't think there's a testament to what happened. Hell, I didn't even shoot the 3 well in the bubble. But it is, what happened. I'm looking forward and continuing to work on my game. And I don't, see why there's a reason that I can't, be able to make threes in the NBA.
Well, it's wild because you still took your 3-point percentage dropped, but your game got better in your third year. I mean, your numbers were great. Your numbers in the bubble were great. I mean, for a point guard to shoot that and then also shoot 48% overall from the field, I think speaks to your shot making ability. So I'm definitely not knocking your game, just to be clear. The other thing I wanted to ask you about specifically with your game was just I read this thing about your finishing and how you tried as you got into the league to figure out the finesse finishing versus the sort of athletic finishing all the time, and that was sort of an effort consciously to protect your body a little bit.
Yes. It's funny because if you watch Harrison in like his first years with Golden State, like he's dunking on people and doing all this, and then now Harrison won't leave the ground. So I'm like, bro, like why? Like why'd you change it? And he's like, man, as you start getting older, like you start feeling your body. Like your body's gonna start telling you stuff. So for me, I'm like, man, like he's right. So I kind of started doing that, and I did it a lot this year, where I didn't dunk as much. It's more so not necessarily avoiding contact, because like I'm still trying to get to the free throw line and things like that, but it's just being smart with everything. Obviously I get to the basket a lot. And it's like, what way can I finish this by either one, getting fouled, or two, having a good finish without having to be on the ground every 5 seconds. And that was just something that that I started working on with avoiding contact. That probably won't be a foul. Just being able to, and becoming, for me, it was becoming a better below the rim finisher. Like I can dunk the ball all day long, but it's like, what are my knees going to tell me when I'm 28? And which is why I started to kind of change my game a little bit and being able to do that, which also comes back to me shooting the ball better. You'll save a lot of years on your body if you're able to shoot the ball.
For sure. I think verticality is taught so well now with the big guys. So going in there, I mean, I never had that athleticism, but you have to figure out how to finish below the rim, whether it's floaters, which obviously you have, or the Euro or the reverse layups, or using sort of your shoulder as a shield. Because I think for anybody, and Russ is probably honestly the exception. I can't really think of anyone else at your position, like for a guard, not necessarily like LeBron. He still goes hard, but for smaller players, Russ is probably the only guy that I can think of that still attacks that way after all these years. I mean, even Damian doesn't. Dame used to yam on people all the time.
Ja?
People forget Dame was in a dunk contest.
Ja's a rookie. Ja hasn't figured it out.
Yeah.
Talking about guys
that
are in the league like 3, 5, 7, 9 years, whatever. It's at some point you figure it out and you're like, oh, I got a float game.
Yeah, man. You start, especially when you play in 82, because I played 81 my second year, and my body was hurting when I was done. So I'm like, something about my game has to change. But I feel like it's changing for the better, especially in longevity. I mean, you played for 14 years, so you know.
Darren, have you been watching the playoffs closely?
Oh yeah, all the time.
What have been some of your takeaways?
Well, one, Miami is a good ass team. Like, they have guys that can, one, put the ball on the floor. They have shooters around those guys that can put the ball on the floor. You have two really, really good defenders, great defenders. And everybody around them are just, they're so good as a team defensively that, like, you think that some players are probably better defensively than they are. But it's just about just being able, like, they're all on a string. They're all on one page. And they make the game look fun and look great, where everybody's touching the ball. It's getting everywhere. They find the open guy, and then defensively they're all connected. So I would think that's one of the things that I've taken away, that obviously we saw how good Miami was during the season, but they've taken it to a whole nother level in the playoffs.
I feel like this gets said a lot about this podcast, but the Miami Heat get a lot of love on this podcast.
A lot of love.
Have they?
Like that for the listener, that was not a setup. We did not tell De'Aaron to say that, okay? That was spontaneous. All right.
Well, so you, Darren, you obviously college teammates with Bam, and you knew he was special in college to a certain extent. But are you surprised that his speed in turning, like he sort of transcends expectations? Even this season, he's gotten this much better. His growth is unbelievable.
I want to start by saying Bam went to class every day. Bam was not missing class. I'm telling y'all that. But me and Malik used to like make fun of him because we always say Bam wants to be a guard so bad. Like he always wants to be a guard. He's trying to bring the ball down. He wants to cross people and get to the basket and things like that. It doesn't surprise us, man. He's been built like that since we were in like 8th grade. He's always been built like a grown man. But I think it came from, like you said, experience and playing. When he first got there, Hassan was there, so he was playing behind him and things like that. And then he got so much experience in his second year. And now, I mean, he's just blossomed into it. Like, he can do anything. He can guard all 5. If he can grab a rebound, bring it down the court, be a playmaker. Obviously, we know how strong and athletic he is. Like, I knew Bam was going to be this good, but I can't say I thought he'd be like an all-star, in year 3.
It's impressive. And that to your point about that team, obviously Spo is a great coach. They're really well coached. But they're one of those rare teams where everyone just sort of has embraced their role and everybody is a star in their role. And it's the perfect sort of it's the perfect timing on where everybody's at in their career. And I think they're going to be a tough out. Before we get to the speed round and the draft, I want to get your side of a story, because I've shared my side of the story on this podcast about the day the NBA season was suspended. We were playing you guys in Sacramento, and real quick to recap, we're all in the locker room before the game. Rudy Gobert tests positive. We get word that the NBA season has been suspended effective Thursday. So we're going to play all those games that night. And, we go through our pregame meeting with the coaches, and there's like 25 on the clock, and they leave the room, and we all kind of look around, and we're like, we're not going on the court. Like,
I think because we found out one of the refs had just
right after that. Right. Yeah. So Courtney Kirkland had reffed the Utah game, and so Aaron Nelson runs through the locker room to tell Griff that. But you guys went out on the court for warm-ups.
Well, we didn't know. So how we end up finding out, we're out there warming up, the time ran out, blah, blah, y'all never came out. So I go in the locker room and I call Josh. I'm like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, y'all couldn't tell us? Like, y'all's coach, like, he couldn't just tell Luke, like, oh, well, we're not playing. Like, so we're warming up and we're like, man, this is, like, what the hell is going on? We look stupid out here. We by ourselves. Like, but yeah, that's
Griff came back in the locker room and told us that you guys were out there talking shit towards our bench, that we weren't out there. That's not true?
Nah, that's not true. But yeah, like I'm like, bro, y'all couldn't tell us y'all weren't coming out. Like, we're fucking warming up for 20 minutes and no one's out there.
Basically, though, we decide, like, it's like, we're one of those teams that goes out late. Like, so some teams go out at like 20 minutes on the clock. We got guys walking out of the locker room for our pregame prayer at like 14 and a half. So we're like always a late team. So we're like by the 20-minute mark, no one's in any rush. And we're kind of talking about what's going to happen. And then we kind of tell Griff, like, yo, we don't feel comfortable. We don't feel safe going out there. There's 20,000 people out there. We're going to be breathing on the Sacramento Kings. They're going to be breathing on us. We just don't feel safe. So he's like, all right, let me talk to the league. So truthfully, we didn't know we were for sure not going to play till there was like 5 minutes on the clock. It wasn't like we knew it like an hour before. All right. So
I'm like, man,
I gotta say, that was the most surreal night of my career, though, and that's in 14 years. Like, that was insane.
Crazy thing is, like, when so obviously we're watching the game. We see Utah's not playing. I think they were playing Oklahoma City, but the Dallas was playing someone, and that was going on already. So we're like watching the game, and I'm, for me personally, I'm sitting there like, yo, I don't feel like playing. Like, like I hope they cancel it. And well, I thought they were gonna cancel just the game, not for 7 months. But yeah, that night was crazy, and I was already like, I was ready to play. So funny. After that, I drive home, and me and my bro Reno, who lives here, who lives with me, we went to Lifetime, and we're like playing one-on-one. And that's how my night ended. I'm like, man, I'm gonna play basketball tonight. I'm gonna play. So that night was crazy. I think it was March 11th.
Yeah, there's gonna be documentaries about that night for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had totally forgotten that after they finally said the game's canceled and the fans started walking out of the arena, that Lonzo went back out and started shooting on the court. I'm like, I started thinking about that. I'm like, there's no way in that guy's mind did he think that he was not going to play basketball again till July 30th. Like we all thought it would be like, all right, whatever, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, little shutdown. We're going to figure this out. And the crazy, I mean, we don't need to talk about this right now, but it's crazy to think like that was March 11th, and where we are right now. You mentioned it earlier, like nothing's open in California still, and it's now been 6.5 months. It's wild. I lied. We're gonna do one more question because I wanted to ask you just about the tie with Lonzo. You guys were in the same high school class. You had 39 against him in the Sweet 16 to end his season at UCLA.
And then we lost on a damn buzzer beater from
and you guys lost to UNC, which that was a hard game for me to watch because I'm like, I want both teams to lose. But like just is there a rivalry with you guys?
I would say no. Like every time we see each other, we talk to each other. Like you said, we've known each other since high school. I mean, there's really no rivalry. I don't know why out of all the players that I played against, I know why, but that's the one that they picked because, like, I didn't play Dennis in college and I didn't play Markell in college.
Yeah.
That's just the way that it happened.
Well, you went off in that Sweet 16.
They beat us in the regular season. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to let the same team beat us twice.
Yeah.
That was like more extra motivation.
I don't watch a ton of college basketball.
It's terrible. Hey, don't. Ever since I've been in the NBA, I've hated watching college basketball.
It's amazing. Like I remember my rookie year going back to a game and being like, "Yo, I was doing this. Like this is it's totally different. It's just totally different." But I did watch that game, and I was very impressed. I was very impressed. But I wasn't just impressed with your game. Like there was. And I see this now, and this is what I was talking earlier about, just like your quiet confidence. Like there's a level of competitiveness that you bring every night that I truly enjoy. It's why I actually wanted to have you on the podcast, not just because you're a good player, but you play with the right spirit, and I appreciate that. Let's get to the speed round. All right. I'm going to start my first question. What was Richaun Holmes really getting when he left the bubble? Was he really getting food delivery?
Oh my God. He was literally getting food. He was getting food. It's funny though because I didn't know. Like it came out, we didn't know he was at practice, and then they told him, and then he had to go quarantine for 10 days. That was ridiculous.
There was a lot of speculation about why he
was the first one, right? He was the first one that.
Dude, we were there for it was, when you first got there, you had the 36-hour quarantine or whatever it was.
Yeah.
The first practice day,
Oh.
he was told that he got to go quarantine again.
I really believe this. Like, and I again, we were only there for 5.5 weeks, 5 weeks. Yeah. 5.5 weeks.
Something like that.
I think it's remarkable that there's basically only been 3 mishaps. It was like Richaun going to get food, Lou Williams stopping by to get some wings at Magic City,
which was also bad luck. Someone ratted him out. I
don't even count that one. Yeah,
and then Daniel House trying to have a friend over like that. I think that's remarkable. Like, good on the NBA, man. Good on us as players. We did it.
We did a hell of a job. Hey, I tell you, football couldn't do it. Hey, their first day they had a little mishap already. So
Yeah.
they couldn't do a bubble.
True.
All right, Tommy.
Okay. Obviously, you can't pick yourself. Your starting 5 for current Kentucky guys in the NBA. You're building a starting 5.
Current Kentucky guys. Okay, well, John hasn't played in 2 years, so I'm not going to pick John. Let's go with Jamal, Book, Cat, AD, and I just need one more. Who's Jamal, Book, AD, Cat, and Eric Bled. We need some defense on that out of our guards.
It's a good team.
Good lineup. I think we're still Duke and Kentucky go back and forth every year. I feel like, right, for the most players in the NBA. I feel like that's a stat that I've seen. Why? My second question to you is why the hatred for In-N-Out Burger? Why do you think it's trash? I personally agree with you. And you're from Tech, so you probably like Whataburger, right?
Yeah, but like, you're not getting a burger from Whataburger. Like, please don't. If you do,
they're solid. They're solid.
You eat Whataburger's burgers?
They're solid.
They're fine.
Right.
Yeah, they're like serviceable.
It's terrible.
What do you get at Whataburger?
You either get the honey butter biscuit or the honey barbecue chicken shrimp sandwich. And what I do with that is sometimes I'll substitute the honey barbecue for honey butter sauce. So that
sounds fire.
Good. That sounds fucking good.
All right, but why the In-N-Out hate? Why the In-N-Out hate? You actually, the word you used was trash. You called In-N-Out trash.
I don't have a trash can in my game room. I need to get it out of the car. It's just bad, man. Like, they always say, well, what'd you get? Well, a double animal style. Like, that's what they're going to say. It doesn't tip the scale. Like, the fries get cold in 2.5 minutes and they taste like, I just moved to this house. I don't know if you can see that cardboard box behind me, but it tastes like the cardboard box. Like, it's,
I just appreciate the fire in this take, because you could just say it's okay and you're like, no, it's trash.
Nah, and then the thing is,
very adamant.
Here in Sacramento, nothing's open past midnight, so like that's all you can get. So,
last one, easy one. You're stranded on an island that has outlets, so you have technology. You can only bring one game. What is it?
One game?
Yep.
Call of Duty. But if there's no prestige system, 2K. So it depends which Call of Duty.
No prestige system, so it's 2K over Call of Duty?
Yeah.
Do you get mad at your 2K rating?
Oh, no, I really don't care. Especially because now, like, my speed's always like a 97 and up, so I'm running past everybody anyways.
We got mad for we have Duncan Robinson's like one of our correspondents on this show, and they ranked him the 16th best 3-point shooter in the league on 2K, and like 5 or 6 of the guys who are ahead of him aren't even in the league right now. He's got to fix it.
Yeah, if I'm him, I'm mad too.
Ranking.
But
all right, we're going to do the drafts. So Tommy's going to explain just how it works. So when we draft, you can't pick anything that anyone else has picked already. So
we're drafting best NBA nicknames ever, and I'll preface this by saying it could be obvious. It could be obvious names that like people know. You can also do, if you want, like if you know of a guy that has a nickname that's super good that might not be public knowledge, but like you want to use that, like that counts too. So it can be whatever you want.
Okay. Wait. Y'all didn't write anything down, right?
I have a draft board.
Oh wow,
bro! Don't worry though. Don't worry.
Board.
JJ is a horrific drafter. So you could go. We've had guests. Most of our guests just go off the dome, and it's way better than both of us, but especially better than him.
I think I'm going to win this one. I'm going to be honest with you.
You're up first because you're up first because you're the guest.
You're up first.
Oh, okay. Let's go with the Dream.
Hakeem the Dream.
Yeah,
solid.
Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon.
What you mean?
Very solid.
Solid. All right, I'm first.
Yep.
I'm going Optimus Dime, John Wall.
Okay. I like it. I know where you got that from.
Yep.
I didn't even know he was called that.
Here we go.
Oh, you're just wait for some of mine, buddy.
We're loaded, baby.
All right. I'm going to take this one off the board because I think somebody's going to probably pick this. So I'm going to take Kobe Bryant's nickname off the board. The Little Flying Warrior. The Little Flying Warrior, Kobe Bryant. I'm taking that off the board.
What is that?
I don't know. What's the context of that? You have to explain.
It's on Basketball Reference as one of his nicknames. I'm just picking the best nicknames. So I like that nickname for Kobe.
Does that count, Darren? Does that count?
It's on Basketball. If it's on Basketball Reference, it's true. It came from somewhere.
Fine. All right. Let's just give it to
Reference
him.
isn't like Wikipedia, is it?
It's anyone can just put it on. It counts because Kobe should be in the first round, so it counts.
All right, it counts. My second, I'm going to go with a former teammate of mine and a Duke guy. I'm going to go with Austin Rivers, Sub-Zero. And I'm going to give you a little context on this because I don't think anybody actually calls him Sub-Zero. But on June 6, 2011, when he was still in high school, he wrote about Duke, quote, "Wearing number 0 next year, my nickname is going to be Sub-Zero because of number..."
You did some research for this.
Hold on a second. Let me finish the tweet. My nickname is going to be Sub-Zero because of number and because my moves freeze people, got ice in my veins. I love Austin. It's a hell of a nickname to give yourself. All right, I'm done. Those are my two to start.
Cool. I'm up.
Yes.
My second pick, I'm going Outback Jesus, which is Matthew Dellavedova.
Wait, hold on. You thought of that?
I've never heard that. Did you get that from Basketball Reference too? Maybe.
That's his nickname. Outback Jesus.
I don't feel right because I'm going with like the ones everybody knows.
You're gonna win when we're gonna post this on social.
Trust me, you're gonna win.
It's fine, dude. You're fine.
You're gonna win this thing easily.
So which means y'all picked like okay. I got it.
No, Tommy
I was just gonna go with.
I talked to Tommy. I made sure that he picked a couple real ones.
I just picked a movie star and Jesus Shuttlesworth.
All right, you got.
All right, you got two.
Oh, I got the next one.
Yep.
Okay, since you went with Sub-Zero, I'll go with Agent Zero. Why not?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Pick.
See, in mine, we know are real.
Yeah, good
That's
pick.
a good one. I
gotta search up that Kobe one.
All right, you got a second pick. So you got the Dream, Agent Zero.
That was my second. Oh no, my second pick was the Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Oh, the Jesus. Okay, yeah. Ray Allen, Jesus. Yeah, that's I mean, God.
All right, I can't believe this got to the third round. Magic.
Okay.
All
right, you're getting cute now. I
think that's
Can I pick JJ then?
Is it not? JJ? Is it not
That's
a nickname?
my nickname.
His name's Irvin.
Hold on a second. If it's somebody's called that, like that's his name. His name's Magic Johnson.
His documents. You think they said Magic?
Not a chance. Does Michael Wilbon call him Magic? Nope.
You're right, because when I close on a house, I write Jonathan. So JJ is on the board.
But no one's picking JJ. JJ is not one of the top 5 nicknames.
All right, I get two more. All right, I'm gonna go with Marcus All, Big Burrito. Don't know where that came from.
Hey, did you type in on Google?
That's a weird
NBA nicknames. No one knows.
These are awesome though. And then I love this one, and I thought Tommy was going to steal this from me, so I'm glad I got this one. So Mike Scott, the Regional Manager. Love that one.
No, it is a good one.
That's good. Little Office reference.
All right, fourth pick, Derek Jones Jr. Airplane mode.
Do we call him airplane mode?
That one's a real one. Like they actually do that at the Heat games. Like they put it up on the scoreboard.
Wow.
Because every 4 games he'll have some crazy dunk, and they just put airplane mode up there.
Okay, well, since you had a front office, I'll go with the Zen Master.
You're definitely gonna. Tierra's gonna win this thing going away because your things are all names people know, and ours is this random stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like
I'm playing a different strategy here, Tommy.
You picked Agent Zero and the Zen Master, and I picked Outback Jesus.
The Agent Zero and the Zen Master.
What was it? The Australian god. What was it?
Outback Jesus.
Outback Jesus.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, you got one more. Close it out.
Let's see. I'll just go with the Worm. Why not?
Solid.
These are all solid.
Solid.
These are all solid.
All right, my last
All
one.
right, wait, are y'all's going to be ones that we don't know still?
Yep.
Yep.
I was thinking about doing Iceman. Iceman's a good one, but I'm not picking it. I'm picking friend of the show, Kyle Korver, Threesis.
That's not his nickname. No one's ever called him that.
Says who?
Kyle. That's not. No one's ever called him that.
Bro, you
This
just
is-
made up a
let me
nickname
tell
for
you-
Kobe Bryant as your first pick that no one has ever heard of. You can't just say no one calls him it. They're all coming
Little
from the same
Flying
place.
Warrior. It's on the dude. All right, whatever.
Threesis,
It's
Kyle
on Basketball
Korver.
Reference. I might change it to Black Mamba. We'll see. When we put out the graphic on social. Let me tell you my strategy with this, De'Aaron. So originally today, I texted Tommy. I said we're gonna do the best nicknames on Basketball Reference because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while because these nicknames are fucking crazy. So then he says, well, then De'Aaron's going to have to do a bunch of research, right? And we don't want to put that on our guests, so let's just do normal nicknames. And I said, fine, which worked out perfectly.
Oh no,
for
hey,
me
we can keep going.
because I'm sabotaging Tommy's picks right now so that you win. I'm taking the L right now. Tommy's on a win streak right now. I'm taking the L.
This is
All right,
amazing spin.
I'm going to close this out with CJ Miles, who when he played in Toronto was CJ Kilometers. Just think that's great.
That's a good one. That's
Hey,
very good.
I just looked up NBA nicknames you don't know.
You found him?
I see where was it? I saw Mark at the top. Let's see, what did this say? Big Burrito, Surge is Air Congo. TJ McConnell is the floor general. Never heard that one. James Ennis is Ennis the Menace.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Another reason we did this because you obviously have a ridiculous nickname. Like your nickname is awesome. You know,
Yours really is. If
awesome.
if it wasn't going to be weird,
if
to
I
pick
wasn't
you, it
really
would have
trying
been
to
in the top
sabotage
five.
this, I would have picked your name. All right, De'Aaron, we appreciate the time, man. Thank you for being patient with our technical difficulties. And best of luck with your rehab, and hopefully we'll get back on the court soon and see you out there, bud.
All right, definitely, man. Thank you. I appreciate you having me, and I hope you guys stay safe, man.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Same.
That's it.
All right, brother.
Later.